Welcome back to Lost Legacies. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sam.
Um, it's been a while. I mean, it feels like it has. I think it's just because we tried recording this already, but we were having internet troubles the other day, so it feels longer. Because I like to ask, what have you been watching? What are you doing? I feel like nothing. I haven't done anything since the last time we recorded.
Yeah. I saw the first 2 episodes of Squid Game. It's good. I just haven't kept going. I need to be in the right headspace for that.
That's why I haven't watched it. Because most of the time when I watch stuff, it's at night before bed. And I don't think that's what I want to watch right before bed,
Yeah. I did watch a movie called The Empty Man, which was really good. I don't know if I understood the ending of it, but it was really good. Yeah, it's kind of like this. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away, but it's kind of like it's tackling the idea of like cosmic existential dread, but putting it in like a pulp mystery. There's this ex-cop who, he's got to go, figure out like this girl is either missing or dead. A bunch of her friends have turned up dead, and the only clue that he has, the only clue that really matters, is something called the Empty Man. And it kind of feels like, one of those like creepypastas, like how like Slender Man, came to be. And I think that's how the movie was sold, as like, oh yeah, this is like a Slender Man sort of like knockoff. But it was a movie that was like stuck. Its release was stuck because it was coming out during the Fox Disney merger. And Disney literally just buried this thing, just like, we don't want this to come out. Like, we're not gonna, we're good if this doesn't get a big theatrical debut. And then what happened, last year happened, they dumped it in theaters during the middle of a pandemic. So yeah, like hardly anybody has seen it, but I do also feel like if it had gotten a big release, it wouldn't have done well anyway. So this is the definition of a cult film.
Who's in it? Anyone recognizable?
The only recognizable actor was the lead. What's his name? James Badge Dale.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I like him. I think he's cool. There was one other actor that I recognized. I don't remember his name. Do you remember the guy who would get really angry in Dodgeball? The guy with like the big thick glasses.
Oh, well, he's in it. He's okay. He was like the dad, right? He had the 2 kids. Yeah. Okay, I remember.
Yeah, he's in it. He's in it for like a hot second, and he's nothing like his character in Dodgeball. But yeah, it's a really good movie. I thought it was gonna be like scarier, but like it wasn't. Like it didn't have like any jump scares or anything like that. It was just sort of like it's like a mood piece of a movie where you're just like, oh man, this is kind of heavy. But I like it. I really like it. I need to watch it again because like the last 10 minutes went into some like really heady territory. I'm like, I like it. I don't know if I get it, but I really like what's going on here. So,
well, you're really selling me on this. Especially with that last 10 minutes. But if I want to go watch this, where can I watch it?
Right now you can watch it on HBO Max.
Awesome. Okay. I don't know what have I been watching. I've talked about Warrior, right? On the podcast. Okay, so I finished season 1 of Warrior. I'm halfway through season 2. I guess that's it. I'm a little heartbroken because I know it's only 2 seasons right now. And I don't know if we're going to get season 3 in 2022 or later. So I'm just trying to do like 1 episode a night. Also almost finished with only Murders in the Building. There's only 2 episodes left. The only other thing I've been watching is Lost.
Same here.
So let's jump in, bro, as we talk about season 2, episode 22, For the Road. After Ana Lucia is attacked by Henry, she decides to take matters into her own hands. Meanwhile, Michael has returned, and he's bringing hell with him.
Is that what you wrote?
Of course. Oh, yeah. I write 99% of these things. All right, man. So this is, I know we've talked extensively about this, but season 2, it definitely has its ups and downs. And when the down points, like, it's not a bad show, it's just really slow.
Mm-hmm.
And we noticed there's a lot of area where they can trim the fat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mostly because this was an ABC show. They wanted to do 24 episodes.
Yeah.
They cut that down. I think this season would have flowed a lot better. Also, there's a bunch of characters this season who, like, they're not really doing anything.
Yeah.
They have a storyline, but even Saeed, like, he has a storyline, but he's not doing anything for 90% of this season, which sucks as a character and really sucks as an actor. Yeah. You kind of just show up to work here and there and you're like, man, I could be working on something else. But then every now and then you get an episode like this one. An episode that reminds you what show you're watching. You're like, oh, yeah. Now I remember why people say this is one of the greatest shows of all time. Despite all any kind of controversy or any kind of squabbles over the ending, like, Lost will always go down in history as one of the greatest shows of all time. It's hard to see that in season 2, but then you get to an episode like this and you're like, oh, okay, I forgot what Lost can be when it's firing on all cylinders, when you have a little mythology in there, when you have excellent writers in there. Yeah. What did you think about this episode?
Definitely one of the best of the season. Yeah, it's just like everybody's just bringing it, you know, like this. It's like you said, like, this is why people tuned in every week, you know, for episodes like this. And yeah, because the whole episode, like, the whole episode isn't really a gut punch, but it is just sort of like, it's not pulling punches. It's like, okay, yeah, like we're getting into it, like, we're doing this, you know. And then once we get to the end, it's like, yeah, there's the gut punch. There's the gut punch that I know and possibly love Lost for, you know,
especially too, because they go in knowing we only have 42 minutes left with this character. So we're going to give her the best 42 minutes we can. Which I think was a lot better than Shannon's exit and Boone's exit. You know, and of course, what we're talking about is Ana Lucia. She gets it. She gets the axe. I don't even know what to jump in. I will say this is a much stronger episode than her episode earlier in the season.
Definitely is. It's a much better performance from her. It's much better writing. Like, they know, like, I think now they know how to handle her character.
Yeah. I think definitely they know how to do it, but also, like, this is what was missing from that first episode, you know, from her flashbacks. It's like that kind of the empathy, that an audience is supposed to feel towards a character, you know, not that they're supposed to, but the story they're telling of Ana Lucia, they want the audience on her side. They want us to root for her or to at least empathize with her. And there was nothing to really latch onto in her first episode. But this one, when it's all the aftermath and how she's dealing with the fact that she murdered a guy, that's where we were pulled in. But I will say this too. It was a surprise, but we had another guest star, and it was, once again, Christian Shepherd. As soon as he showed up, I was like, oh my God, this guy again.
The best, worst dad of all time. Yeah.
I know. He's like the best, worst character because he's a horrible person, horrible character. but he drives the character arcs forward. Mm-hmm. Whether at this point it's mainly Jack, but it's also meeting Sawyer in a bar. Mm-hmm. And now it's having a little week-long trip with Ana Lucia. Mm-hmm. I was surprised. I had completely forgot about that part of their backstory. And I really enjoyed it because for a good chunk of this episode, it was Christian Shepherd's story. Mm-hmm. And it's really odd that we're getting that in an episode that's not a Jack episode.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So I feel like there was a chunk of the flashbacks where Ana Lucia she took the sideline, but it had a good caps, good bookends. Mm-hmm. You know, it started off really strong with her story, and then it went into Christian's, and then it ends really strong on her story. So I think it really works, and it really fuels what she's going through on the island. Mm-hmm. And also now, whenever we get Christian Shepherd back in a Jack flashback, we're going to have a little different knowledge, because this is something we didn't see. We've seen up to the point where he goes missing, and then we find out he's dead. So now we actually find out, and we get to see what he was doing in Australia,
which we're still not too sure about.
Yeah, he was banging on some random lady's door. Mm-hmm. Saying I have to see her. So I'm pretty sure that's going to come up at some point. Mm-hmm. Probably another Jack episode.
Yeah, Jack's got a half sister out there.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. So as far as everything else we had to say about the flashbacks, it was so heartbreaking to hear Ana Lucia call her mom at the airport, and she finally breaks down, and she admits she admits that she needs help. She admits that she wants to come home. Mm-hmm. And her mom's super supportive. She's like, just do it. Just come home. I'll be here. Mm-hmm. I'll pick you up. And we all know that plane never gets there, Sam. Mm-hmm. And it makes it worse. At the end of the episode, we know Ana Lucia doesn't make it. Mm-hmm. And it's out of nowhere.
I will say, this is hard because this is one of the things that I knew, you know?
Oh, you knew that she died.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew that Michelle Rodriguez wasn't on the show for that long. And I knew it was Michael. Or at least I knew it was down in the hatch. I couldn't remember if it was Michael or Saeed, but the second Michael started talking about the others and we can take them, we can do all this stuff, we got to get the guns, we got to do this. It started coming back to me, and I was like, oh, I think this is the episode.
Oh man.
Yeah. And then, as soon as she's there, Michael shows up, and they sit together and they talk. I'm like, let's shout out to Harold
Perrineau,
because he's also bringing it in this episode. Mm-hmm. He's not in it that much, but while he's here, he is selling us on this performance. And it's just the way he's able to just sit there and we already know that he's I guess going back, it's now we can see that oh, he's planning for this. He's planning on getting whoever's in that cell out, stuff like that. He needs to do this. It's just, it's crazy. Such a good performance. And it sucks because, these are the moments. These are these are the moments where we're like, oh man, the acting is so good. The characters are so good. You kind of forget that, or you have to remember that these characters, even though they've only been on the island for a little over a month, they have this history together.
Right. Yeah.
And you can feel the weight of that in their conversations. What they've been through is horrible. And when they're sitting there on the couch, talking about these things, it's heartbreaking, you know, and then it's even more heartbreaking when Michael turns the gun on Ana Lucia and you're like, oh my God, like, yeah, just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even the only death in this episode.
No, and we'll get to that, but this, me also remembering, already knowing what happens, that conversation they had was so stressful. Like I was sweating because I knew how it ends. I know he shoots her, and I'm just, oh God, just watching this episode, knowing what happens. It's such a different trip, you know. It's set up perfectly. The writers set up Michael perfectly, and even everything that came before, you know, Henry attacking Ana Lucia, and in the whole episode, she's kind of dealing with it, like she wants her vengeance, you know. She even sleeps with Sawyer just to steal his gun, and she's gonna kill Henry. And I love that scene between the two of them where she says, is that where she says she's tired, or is that to Michael?
No, I think that's to Michael.
I think so too. Yeah, but anyway, it was a great scene because you see her dealing with it, like she doesn't want to kill anymore. Or not just kill. It's just she doesn't want to be who she is, that closed off person. She goes into this shell, the survival mode, and that's what she just wants that to end. Well, it does. Yeah. So behind the scenes, Michelle Rodriguez, she only signed on for one season. She told them straight out of the gate, she doesn't want to get locked down in one place. And which, I mean, again, it makes sense because look at what she did this season. Like she had a good run those first couple episodes, and she kind of just disappeared for most of like the second act of this season. And then they brought her back for a little bit more, you know? So, I mean, that's one way to look at it, but then you also have to think, well, hang on a second. The season is 24 episodes. It takes roughly 2 weeks to shoot each episode. So as a series regular, like Ana Lucia was, how often are you actually going to work?
Yeah.
I feel like the majority of these episodes she's only there a day or two. Now, in those early ones, yeah, she was there. And then for a few, like this one for sure, she probably worked that full 2 weeks. And then the stuff of looking for the balloon and things like that. Yeah, she was on set for a couple days, but everything in between, she probably only worked 1 or 2 days out of those 2 weeks. So as an actor, you're like, oh, man, one, you're getting paid, yes, but two, what else could you be doing with that time? You know, and it's in Hawaii. So especially at that time, there wasn't a lot of opportunities to film in Hawaii. Lost is what kind of brought Hollywood to Hawaii in a big way. So if you want to do another project, you're going to have to fly back to the mainland, which is a whole other thing, you know? So it's like, you're kind of stuck there just vacationing when you want to be working. It's a privilege, I understand, and it's a great problem to have. But as a creative person, you want to do something. You want to, you know, sink your teeth into something more. So I could understand why she was only around for one season, and I think she definitely made an impact in her short time on the show.
Definitely.
So let's get to the other tragedy of this episode, Sam. Thoughts, feelings, emotions. I think it's safe to say it wasn't handled with the same. It wasn't handled with the same care and careful planning as Ana Lucia's arc was. But I think that's also the point, because if Ana Lucia's death was a shock and came out of nowhere, the next death was even worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, you know, nobody like one, nobody's suspecting that like, oh, Michael's gonna shoot Ana Lucia until he does. But I feel like it's sort of a thing is like we the audience are like, oh no, he did this, and then Libby shows up carrying the blankets that she was getting for her picnic with Hurley. And Michael panics and shoots her twice. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Definitely not as carefully planned, but it is. Both of those deaths are just the 1-2 punch that just sell like, oh, okay. Michael's turned. Michael is being coerced or something, that it's like he is fully in this now. I feel like maybe he could have. I feel like maybe it's a thing of just like, maybe if it was just Ana Lucia, like there could be some, redemption or something like that. But the fact that it is both of them.
It's both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, no, there's no coming back from this. He's in this now.
And I think what's also more tragic is like how Libby didn't have the character arc that Ana Lucia did.
Right.
We didn't take the time to explore her story. She didn't get any flashbacks. She shows up at the end of Hurley's flashback, which is a whole other open thread now. We're like, well, okay, what does that mean? And they even kind of allude to it in this episode too, when she's saying about wine, and Hurley says, hey, if I get drunk enough, maybe I'll remember where I recognize you from. So that's like the third time he's mentioned that, even after she has already said, oh, you ran over my foot, blah, blah, blah. We were on the same plane together, blah, blah, blah. That's the third time he's mentioned it. So something, he's remembering subconsciously or whatever that she was in the hospital at the same time. It's also going to be interesting to see how these two deaths affect everyone else, especially Hurley. From what we've seen, we love Libby, and it's really sad to see her go. And we saw the positive force that she was in Hurley's life.
Yeah.
And now I can only imagine what he's going to be going through too. So, oh man. So originally, I don't talk about deleted scenes too often, but okay. So this scene, what happens? Michael shoots Ana Lucia, and he's surprised by Libby, and he double taps her, and then he just looks all freaked out, and he goes into the locker where Henry is. And he looks at him, and then he turns the gun on himself, and it cuts to black. The original ending was it cuts to black, and then it pulls up. We fade in on Hurley sitting on the beach, just waiting. And that's where it ends. I was like, no!
Oh, man.
Bastards! Oh, geez, that would have been terrible.
Yeah, that
I kind of wish they did that, but ending it with Michael shooting himself really has a punch,
Yeah.
There's no, for those last 4 or 5 minutes, there's maybe not that long, because there is music when Ana Lucia and Michael are talking, and she's like explaining everything. There's really good music, actually, very emotional. But then as soon as he gets the gun, all the music stops. So that whole last 2 minutes or whatever is silent, no music. The Lost logo at the end has no sound effects. It just ends. I'm like, oh my God. That's like the Game of Thrones moment where they shouldn't have played the music over the credits either. That would have been cool. Yeah. Or we play like a punk rock song instead, like Game of Thrones did.
Oh, geez.
I kind of like that though in Game of Thrones. Oh man. Yeah, dude. 2 for the road. Kind of has a different meaning now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Another fun behind the scenes fact. So that whole scene where Ana Lucia is taking Jack, or I'm sorry, Christian, she drops him off at the bar, at the cocktail bar and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't get a vehicle with the steering wheel on the right side. So they had to film in a normal, like American vehicle, and they had to just flip the footage.
Huh.
Which means they had to go flip everything from wardrobe to the signage, everything. So I don't know if it's ever the bar sign is ever seen in the same shot as the car, but essentially that would have said cocktail bar backwards. That's wild, right? It's like,
that's wild.
Yeah, because they couldn't find a damn right wheeled car. That sucks. I thought she looked a little different too. I think because she has a mole too, and the mole's on the other side. I didn't notice it, but I saw it on the little trivia. I was like, oh, okay. But that was a great scene too, because she's telling Christian, she's just telling him, let's just go. Let's just go back. And he says, I can't. Like, oh.
Yeah.
And then we're led to assume that's the bar where he ends up meeting Sawyer.
Yeah.
And convinces Sawyer to go kill that guy, Frank. Oh, this guy's such an
idiot, is what he is.
Such a wrecking ball, man. He's ruining so many lives.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't even realize it. That's the tough part about it.
Yeah.
Was there anything else? I mean, I feel like everything else, it felt like it was leading up to this. There's a lot of characters weren't in this episode. They really focused the writing down to what was essential. We saw Saeed for a little bit, and he's the one who he's kind of helping Hurley make the perfect picnic for Libby. So that was leading towards that end.
I will say though, that did lead to my favorite Lost gif, where where Hurley is trying to take Libby to like the most beautiful beach, and like, yeah, like, we're here, we made it, and she's like, Hurley, this is our beach, Jin's right there. And they have their conversation, and then she takes off, and Hurley looks back, and Jin's looking up, and he just smiles and gives the thumbs up.
He gives a thumbs up and nods at him.
Yeah, I love that gif. That's my favorite gif.
I did
probably one of the best Jin moments. Yeah, just incredible.
Oh man. Yeah, man. So the only other thing is Michael comes back with this whole story about how he's seen where the others live, and they're living in teepees and huts. There's about 22 of them, he counted, and they're guarding what he assumes is a hatch. So he tells Jack, he convinces him that we can take them. And so they go to try and get the guns back from Sawyer. And okay, so I like how Locke covered for Ana Lucia, because Jack sees her like wound from Henry's attack, and Locke says, "Oh, it's my fault. She fell down." Blah blah blah. And then at the end, when they realize she has Sawyer's gun, Locke's just like, Jack, there's something I gotta tell you.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So he's gonna blame Locke for this. But something they didn't bring up, but I'm assuming is gonna come up. Kate knows otherwise about the others. She's even told Jack that they found the medical station. She found the costumes. So when Michael's saying they all live in tents and teepees, she kind of gives like this weird, like kind of confused look, like, huh? Maybe I'll bring this up later. It was like that little light bulb went off. She's like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
So that just leads to so many more questions. One, is she going to bring it up? And two, what is Michael's end game here? As Gandalf would say, the board has been set and the pieces are moving. Okay, well, speaking of pieces moving, what are your I was going to say motivations, and I said, no, that's wrong. I was going to say expectations, but no, that's wrong. Predictions. Sam's predictions, expectations, and motivations. What do you think's going to happen after this episode?
Oh man. Well, just by the nature of the end, it looks like Michael has set up like the perfect escape for Henry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm imagining that it's gonna be at least a episode of everybody like frantically trying to figure out what to do, trying to plan something, going through all, the grief and everything. While Michael's just gonna be there like, yeah, it's awful. This is terrible, but he's another. What do you expect? We gotta go after them, Yeah. Oh, something that we completely overlooked. Henry told Locke that he was on his way when he was originally captured by Russo. Henry was on his way to get Locke, which is incredible. And I'm like, okay, so that's just more, fuel in the fire. Like, yeah.
So now the question is he telling the truth or not?
Yeah.
Because the whole conversation started when Locke was asking him, why did he attack Ana Lucia and not him? Because he was trapped under the door. Henry could have easily killed him. So why did he attack Ana Lucia and not him? And Henry replies with, because you're one of the good ones, John. What? One of the good ones? What the hell does that mean? I'm pretty sure a high school counselor told me the opposite of that. Actually, no, I like my high school counselor. She probably told me I was one of the good ones too.
She was another Matthew.
Oh no. Explains so much. Explains why I was so easily finagled my way into that science camp trip when I wasn't in the science club. True story. But then it turned out it was a camp for at-risk teens. That's a whole other episode, man. Like,
I know.
Oh my God. I forgot her name, but she was awesome. She was my counselor in middle school and high school. I'm convinced she just followed me from school to school.
It's like you're the best one, What's the point of it all after you graduate?
Yeah. So yeah, he says he was coming for Locke. What does that mean? Is it true or not? I don't know. But
I feel like by the end of the season we'll know if it's true or not.
Okay, so you said by the end of the season. You also said we're going to probably have one episode where everyone's just frantic trying to figure out what's happening. I will remind you, we only have 3 episodes left. Granted, episode 3 is a 2-parter, but it's a 2-part finale. So 3 episodes, 4 hours, whatever. But
yeah,
we only have 3 episodes left of this season. So who knows how long or how fast things are going to progress.
That's true.
Okay, well, that was your motivations. This one's going to be tricky. Who's the MVP? I feel like we're going to have several. Or not?
I mean, no, I don't think so, because I feel like, well...
All right, well, who's your pick?
Mine is Ana Lucia. It's Michelle Rodriguez. Because she, one, this is her episode, but she's also, giving that performance like it's almost nothing that we hadn't seen before until we get to the airport. And then she has that conversation with her mom, and it's like, yeah, from that moment on, she's on another level, and yeah, and then on top of that, this is it. This is her swan song. So it's like, oh man. So yeah, I just think she really brought it, and she's my MVP.
Yeah, she the first part of the episode, it was kind of just Ana Lucia, more of the same, but the writing was a lot better than she's ever had. And so it was a much higher quality Ana Lucia. And then yeah, like towards that the second half or the end of third act ish, it was just we've never seen Michelle Rodriguez on that level before. And I wish they had given her this quality of writing and depth earlier in the season.
Yeah.
One, it might have convinced her to stick around longer, but two, she would have made a bigger impression. I think it would have really stretched Michelle Rodriguez as an actor and how we as an audience see Michelle Rodriguez. Because she's always been the tough girl, and that's exactly what she was cast in this role for. We need a tough girl, someone who can go toe to toe with Sawyer, someone who can outsmart Jack and Locke, you know? And that's exactly who Ana Lucia was. But we got it's kind of like Tasha Yar, man. It was her last episode. We got a little more depth and like, wow, they could really do something with this character. And then they kill her.
Yeah.
I will say though, Ana Lucia had a much more fulfilling death than Tasha Yar did in Star Trek.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So if you're gonna go with Michelle Rodriguez, I'm going with the writers.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Christina M. Kim, who she did several episodes this season, and she comes in and out seasons 3 and 4. So she's still involved with Lost a bit. Okay. But she did awesome. And writing partner, Elizabeth Sarnoff, who continues to write for Lost until the end of the series. Oh, so wow. She started this season and then she's on for the rest of the show.
Rad.
I think it's also, if not obvious, it should be stated that 2 women wrote this episode. You know what? I wonder, what was Ana Lucia's first episode? Well, like her first like flashback episode. I want to see who wrote that.
Oh,
nope. Yeah, it was 2 dudes. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
That might also have to do, not the quality of writing, but like what we were talking about, the depth and the empathy we felt for her. And I mean, a good, like the heartbreaking part of this is we see that relationship with her mother, you know, and we see that guilt she feels. And we never got any of that relationship in the first episode. We knew they were related, but it wasn't that like real mother-daughter. It was more hard-headed.
Yeah.
They spent more time dealing with her and her partner than her and her mother. Yeah. So, yeah. Very interesting. So, yeah, I'm going to give it to both of them.
Awesome. They deserve it.
Also, let me double check, but I think the writers won an award for this episode.
Really?
Let me see. Maybe I made that up. Writers Elizabeth Sarnoff and Christina M. Kim. Oh, they were nominated for WGA Award for writing for an episodic drama. And WGA is the Writers Guild of America.
Oh, nice.
So, last thing I want to say, not so much behind the scenes little trivia, but something else happened in this episode. Midway through, there's a commercial break for the Hanzo Foundation. And there was a toll-free number. And that is what kicked off the Lost experience.
Really?
And that's something a lot of people, we've talked about this before, but a lot of people still don't remember about Lost, is like they were really cutting edge as far as interactiveness, you know? So you had this number you called and then they gave you some kind of info and it said, check out the hanzofoundation.com, blah, blah, blah. They go into that. And then that number stayed active for a while. And if you would call at some other point, they would say, oh, these are something about a band, tickets to like this tribute show for this band, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I think it's the band Hurley and Charlie are looking at the album earlier in the season. And Charlie's like, oh, I've never heard them before. I think it's that band.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure. But little things like that. And then also this episode, we see Sawyer reading the Bad Twin manuscript, which is eventually the novel we've also discussed. That's not related to Lost, but it's set in that world because the Hanzo Foundation does play a part in like the overall mystery because it's a noir novel. So Hanzo Foundation plays a part in that novel. So all these little things, and it all kicked off with this episode. Not to mention the last episode was the last one for like 3 or 4 weeks. They took some time off, which I brought up.
That's right.
So they came back with this one and they're like, all right, we're going full throttle towards the end. So yeah, man, I think we're coming towards the end. You've already given your predictions stuff. Is there anything you specifically want to see before the end of season 2?
Well, I want to see a confrontation with the others, like full on, you know.
Okay.
Not just like a stalemate or anything. Like, no, I want to see some fists being thrown.
Yeah.
Somebody thrown off a cliff. I don't know. Yeah, I really want to see Desmond again. I mentioned this to you earlier.
Yeah, you
today.
mentioned it today. You're like, I miss Desmond. I was like, me too.
I miss him. Like, he's such a big part of like the beginning of the season, and then he's just not in it for the rest of it. Yeah, like so. Yeah, I would really like to see Desmond again. Yeah, I guess that's it. I want to know what's up with that shark. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Give me an answer for that.
Yeah, Phineas M. Finn. No. Oh, instead of Phineas, it's Finn with an F. Phineas M. I don't know. What's a cool shark last name?
Chomzowski.
Phineas M. Chomzowski. I like it. So, okay. Cool, man. Well, we'll find out what happens next week when we talk about Lost, season 2, episode 21. Question mark? That's literally the title of the episode. It's just a question mark.
I saw it when I was pulling up this episode, and I was like, oh, we're gonna have a hell of a time with this one. Like, is it question mark or is it question?
Okay. Okay, so yeah, season 2, episode 21, question mark? I say with a question mark. As the survivors deal with the horror they find in the hatch, Mr. Echo begins to have unusual dreams. Ooh, I love a Mr. Echo episode.
Me too.
I don't remember if this is actually Mr. Echo episode or not, but I know that's what
it should be.
Yeah, so I know he's going to be. And that's that. He was one of the ones who were nowhere to be seen in this episode, you know? So it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to all of this. Did I say that correct? Did it sound okay when I said with the horror? I don't want to sound like as the survivals deal with the horror they find in the hatch. Whoa, dude, I'm telling you, I have trouble with R's, especially when we're recording after work. Horror has 3 R's in it, okay? And an H and 2 O's. So it sounds like horror. In fact, I didn't say that word. I just said horror, like the genre. God, YouTube's we're gonna get kicked off of Apple Podcasts because of my profanity laced,
because of your foul mouth
outro.
How dare you?
I'm sorry, guys. We had a whole podcast talking about the horror genre. And how I hate those movies, but my friends keep trying to get me to watch.
You know, it's an expensive genre. You know?
Yep. Scars people for life. Well, on that note, friends, countrymen, subscribers, unsubscribers,
most of our followers are just going to be gone at this point.
Yeah. As always, you can find us at #LostLegacies. let me know how you pronounce horror. And let me know what's your favorite horror film. As always, you can find me at Twitter at _Matt Jimenez or on Instagram at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
And you can find me on Twitter in
we just lost Sam at this point.
and Instagram at Real. That's REEL. Texas weirdo.
I mean, to be fair, horror films are Sam's favorite genre, so. And we are recording this before Halloween, so I mean, it's the time of year for horrors. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't make fun of me and my speech impediment.
That's called bullying. Get lost.
All right, get lost, damn it.